When video games were slowly making their way onto the world stage, they are today considered very simplistic. Games like Pong, Space Invaders, and Pac-Man, these were games that were iconic for its time, but in the present day, the industry has moved forwards, and today, this is what your average game looks like. Games have come a long way from just the up, down, left and right and shoot controls. So, to have gone where we are today, there must have been some games since Pac-Man in 1980 that changed the way we play games and influenced and inspired gaming developers to think and do bigger. Some of these games are considered so amazing by their communities that developers later down the line may re-release the game and give it a more modern, technical, improved design like better graphics and better sounds. These are what we know as remakes or remasters. You'd probably be surprised to see just how many games have gone down this road. Now in today's world of gaming, remastered games are a page of controversy. Many people like the idea of games they loved back in the past being revived for the modern day, while others see them as cheapskates, pointless and unworthy, believing that gaming publishers and developers just re-releasing an old fan favourite is just an easier, more lazy way to make an extra buck. Today, I want to present you guys with both sides of this argument and then leave it up to you to make your own conclusion on this subject. Now, I would say the number one argument for supporting remaking games is that they expand and grow the communities. Take a game like LA Noire for example, a game that originally came out in 2011 and just got a remastered version released last month. Now, as every industry in the world, as time progresses, the fans of these industries expand in the millions. So there's going to be so many people, so many new gamers who weren't in the gaming scene 6 years ago, or even those who were and just never got the chance to play it, who now have the perfect opportunity to finally experience the game that they've probably heard from others is a pretty good game. Or look at Halo 1 and 2, the remakes for those games came out on their 10-year anniversaries from their original releases. So that's an introduction to a whole new generation of new players, and they can begin their interest to a franchise that can potentially last for years. Not to mention as well, remastered releases don't cost as much as a brand new release, so it will make it the more attractive one for the majority since a lot of us are on limited spending. It's never evident that these remakes bring in any more than a few 100,000 or up to 1 million new fans, but it is just a natural prediction. Some new players will enjoy their time playing the remake, and some will go on to get involved and participate with the communities on sites like Reddit and YouTube. Maybe some of you watching will be able to relate to this argument. I guess another argument, very similar to the first one, is just the idea of taking a trip down memory lane for those long-term fans of these games. Millions of people have been gaming for decades, and like I've said, a lot has changed in that time. And when a game gets remade 10 or so years later, it can give those players that fun experience that they enjoyed back in the day when it first released. There are some remakes that will maybe address one or two certain bugs and glitches that players maybe didn't like from the original game, which ends up giving them an even better experience the second time around. Now, it's important to understand the difference between the definition of a remake and a remaster. A remake is more of a full force upgrade, while a remaster is considered a slightly better improved version. But for the people who dislike these kind of games, they tend to prefer the word port, as it becomes quite apparent in the past that there have been some re-released games that have hardly had any recognisable improvements to the graphics from the original. Games like LA Noire, Halo Wars, Dishonored, and Batman Return to Arkham have all faced this same criticism. This is just one example for people seeing this as evidence that publishers and developers just shoot out these old games and re-release them to the current generation to gain a cheeky bit of profit. There has been one game recently that stirred up a lot of controversy: Call of Duty 4 Remastered. Now, in terms of graphics, sound, and feeling like the original game, it's a pretty good accomplishment. But what really added the fuel to the fire was how the game was marketed and handled after release. The game was originally only available for the Infinite Warfare Legacy Edition. I'm sure you all remember how people were feeling about that game. And putting Call of Duty 4 Remastered in the special edition manipulated some people to spend nearly $80 just for one game, a game that was 9 years old and being remastered, only then to re-release the game separately from that bundle for $40 7 months after release. Also, microtransactions were added, including guns and skins that weren't even in the original game. Now I see this as just straight up abusing the legacy of what the original game left behind in 2007. It wasn't just a good FPS game, it revolutionized the genre and pushed it forward by bringing all these new things to the table. And for it to be given this kind of treatment when it came to the remastered game, it should be no surprise this is how some people feel about these types of games. Some may say you can't just make conclusions like this by just basing it off of one game, which is fair, but at the same time it sets dangerous standards for other companies with every copy sold. Shadow of War taught gaming developers that you can put microtransactions in single player games, and Call of Duty 4 taught them that you can re-release an old fan favourite game and sell it in little chunks later on with DLCs. It's something that as gamers, there is a line, and every now and then developers and publishers are going to cross it, which may or may not encourage others to do the same. If you guys are willing to hear me state my opinion, I believe remastering games can be a great tradition, but for God's sake, if you're gonna do it right and do it well. There is no doubt that there has been some remastered games that have done really well in the past, but it is a business practice that, just like every other one in this industry, will reach a point where they just don't feel necessary anymore. And as time has gone on, it's made me care less and less about them over time. Just let great games from the past live on with their original representation, and let's move forward with new exciting games to fulfill our time on. But now I'll hand it over to you guys. Are these games treats or tricks? I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say regarding this topic in the comments. Just be respectful, that's all I ask. Leave a rating if you find it necessary, and subscribe for more future content on the channel. Take care of yourselves guys, enjoy the rest of your day. See you soon, bye.